Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being with us. I'm Sidney Katz. I'm the council member for the 3rd District, and it's my honor to present with council members Friedson and Glass a proclamation in recognition of Yom HaShoah, also known as Holocaust Remembrance Day. In 1978, the U.S. Congress passed legislation introduced by Senator John Danforth that declared April 28th to 29th, 1979, the anniversary of the American liberation of the Dachau concentration camp in 1945, to be days of remembrance of victims of the Holocaust. This is a day observed annually to commemorate the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust and to honor the lives of the survivors and their families. Yom HaShoah reminds us of the horrors that Jews and other persecuted groups faced: forced labor, starvation, humiliation, and torture, which often resulted in death. It was systemic. Effort to wipe out an entire population from the face of the earth. In today's world, with rising anti-Semitism and other forms of hate-based violence, the observance of Yom HaShoah is more relevant than ever, serving as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked hate and the need for collective action to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again. A few weeks ago, we announced, the County Council with the County Executive, a $1.2 million grant and awards for hate crime prevention and security. The money will be used by nonprofit and faith-based organizations to enhance security and deter hate crimes. The county has launched a new hate bias incident complaint portal and telephone hotline to simplify the reporting of hate and bias incidents. Reporting will help to track hate crimes and bias incidents, identify trends, and develop better strategies to combat hate and bias. This past Sunday, as the council president mentioned, the Jewish Communities Relation Council, also known as JCRC, returned to an in-person format to hold their 2025 community-wide Yom HaShoah commemoration at the Bender JCC of Greater Washington. I'd like to conclude my words, and I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Friedson and Councilmember Glass. I would like to conclude my words with a quote from Elie Wiesel, which speaks not only to the horror of the Holocaust, but what we are going through today as well. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifference. Thank you.
We stand here today with this solemn obligation as a county council, as a community, to bear witness, to tell the stories, to retell the stories, to acknowledge the horrors of one of the darkest moments in human history. As anti-Semitism, Jew hatred is on the rise, as we are seeing the glorification of the atrocities of October 7th happening in far too many places, as Holocaust denial is becoming more and more normalized. Moments like this are so critical. Never before in my lifetime has never again felt more urgent than it does right now. So I am humbled to be able to take part in this commemoration, to be able to be here to hear the stories of survivors, recognizing that their life, their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the 2G and 3G and 4G, are the greatest act of defiance against the most horrific acts of evil and of hatred perpetrated against people. And so it is a privilege, it is an honor, it is a humbling obligation to be here today to commemorate Yom HaShoah, to make sure that we commit with our collective memory and we never forget the atrocities of the Holocaust and that we celebrate the act of defiance by their lives, by their joy, by their happiness, by their successes, and by the fact that they are here with us today.
The Nazis rose to power by spreading lies, spreading fear, and creating an us against them mentality that allowed them to commit atrocities. I fear that history is repeating itself. We know that right now, under this administration, American citizens are being deported. People of color are having their rights withheld. Due process is being thrown under the rug. We have to commit ourselves to standing up for everyone, calling out injustice, unconstitutional acts, and indifference every time we see it. Because if we don't, history has told us what will happen when unchecked power tried to tear us apart, destroy families, and rip children from their parents. The world is watching, and we have to come together and say, never forget.
Thank you. I'm going to, before we hear from Deborah Miller from the JCRC and Connie Liss, who's on the Holocaust survivor families, I'm going to ask if everyone could please introduce themselves.
Just my name? I'm Connie Liss.
Jonathan Liss.
Debbie Berline.
Miriam Teitel-Zarin.
Robert Teitel.
Zella Shabason.
Jacob Tettenbaum.
I'm Andy Book with JCRC.
Deborah Miller with the JCRC. Good morning. I'm Deborah Miller, the Director of Government Relations for the JCRC of Greater Washington. And mostly, I want to thank Connie Liss and the other two Gs who are here with us today, second generation. And you've already heard from our esteemed council members how critical it is to not only condemn anti-Semitism, but to educate people about the Holocaust, and to hear from people like Connie Liss, whose voices amplify how critically important it is to tell the story and to remember. And I also want to thank the County Council, grateful that we work here and live here, for people who understand the importance of education and tolerance, and unfortunately condemnation when we see hate wherever it manifests itself. So the JCRC is grateful for the work and the commitment to combating anti-Semitism. So thank you, Council Members Katz and Glass and Friedson, and the Council President, Kate Stewart, who also came, as you heard, to our gathering of more than 350 people on Monday. So thank you. Yeah, I'm short. Hello. First of all, thank you very much. This is an important opportunity to highlight memory. The memory of the Holocaust, the memory of those who didn't survive, those who did survive, and their families. For those of us with our very own personal stories, this is a public appreciation and a lifting up of our memories, a real lifting up, an important lifting up. A little bit of my history. My mother was a survivor of Auschwitz. She was there for 3 years. And my dad was a survivor of Dachau. When he got out of Dachau, he weighed at the most 70 pounds, needed to be on an IV for months, and was hospitalized for all that time. My mom was compelled, I don't know with what strength, but she was compelled to tell her story over and over again. But my dad, until he reached old age, didn't talk about it very much. I think it scared him, and he was worried it would scare us.
But I'm proud to say that our family has taken on the responsibility of speaking up, telling their stories, a little bit of our stories. I talk about Mom, as does my son Jonathan, who's here behind me, and our oldest son Brian talks about my dad. This is our commitment to memory, our responsibility, but it is also yours and all of humanity's responsibility. It cannot, it should not, it will not stop with us. Thank you again very much.
Thank you. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systemic persecution and annihilation of European Jews by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, Jews were the primary target of the genocide. 6 million were murdered. However, other ethnic and religious groups also were victimized and killed, and
whereas we have a collective responsibility to those who perished, as well as those who survived, to educate current and future generations and rededicate ourselves to teaching the history of the Holocaust and explaining its continued impact on the world. And those who survived the Holocaust are an inspiration to us all, and their descendants are living proof that love and hope can triumph over hate and violence. And
whereas the Montgomery County Department of Police 2024 annual report on bias incidents revealed the following. Out of 94 bias incidents involving religion, most of those were anti-Jewish in nature. 53 of those incidents involved anti-Israel language or imagery, and 7 vandalism incidents involving a swastika. And
whereas the council awarded $1.2 million in grant funding in the FY25 Nonprofit Security Grant Program to help protect our county nonprofit and faith-based organizations that have experienced or are at high risk of experiencing hate crimes. And
whereas the county recently launched a new hate and bias incident complaint portal and a telephone hotline where residents can report a hate bias incident either online or by calling the county's 311 call center. Reporting incidents will help Montgomery County track trends in hate-based incidents and better support our communities. And
whereas on Sunday, April 27th, 2025, the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington hosted a community-wide Holocaust Remembrance commemoration, Yom HaShoah, to honor the lives of the 6 million Jews and the survivors and liberators among us, and to call to mind their courage, forbearance, and strength.
now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby recognizes Tuesday, April 29th, 2025 as Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah, in Montgomery County. And be it further resolved that all residents are urged to recommit themselves to not bear silent witness to injustice and to always remain vigilant to the principles of a just society. And it's signed today by Council President Kate Stewart and we 3 council members. Thank you very much.